What's up, you guys? Welcome to Toughen Up with Des, your favorite fighters podcast. This is where hustlers and everyday warriors come to get real about what it takes to be tough in all areas of your life. Let's talk about it so we can be about it. All right, this episode is about the masculine mom. Yes, I said it. About the dual roles that many of us are playing today in society. So whether you're a mom, you're a breadwinner, this one is going to be for you. All right, if you guys have already seen my previous episodes, I've already disclosed to you guys that I was raised by my dad, who was a very masculine man. He is ex-Force Recon. He's everything that is hoorah and Marine Corps. And it was crazy actually how much he instilled in me. And until later that I found out that Desiree is this massive masculine bubble of a female, which became challenging for me over time. I feel like a lot of women today, they struggle with getting into their masculinity. A lot of them are so much in their feminine that it's really challenging to be in their masculine. And then on top of it, I see more and more today that women are being forced to have to play this role, forced to have to be in their masculine. And it's really hard as a female to juggle between the two, depending on your personality, depending on how you were raised. For me, I was raised around a man, so my tendencies were very masculine over time, and I had to actually learn, unwind how to become more feminine and how to play the role of a woman, because there was not only, of course, trauma and all of these things that we associate with, right, that force us into our masculine as females, but for me, it was like the way of life. No crying, no that, be tough, blah. So for a lot of my life, I was forced into this masculine, and I had to teach myself. I literally had to teach myself, you guys. After time, I realized, I was like, you know what, Des, you're kind of like a dude. You need to chill. You need to learn how to be more feminine. I cheered in high school. I played soccer in high school. I was on student council. I was the homecoming queen thing. So there were very girly aspects to Desiree, but in my core and who I was, it was really challenging having to cross over into my feminine side. And so again, I find a lot of times women today, they really struggle with actually tapping into their masculine. So hopefully today, after our little talk, you guys can invoke this power, invoke this in you. Some women, they love to be in their masculine and they love to embrace this side of them, right? But it also can be challenging when you're in the workforce or you're in a relationship and you're trying to control everything, or you're parenting because you aren't able to be a disciplinarian. So there's a lot of things that can pull you back, or maybe you are that masculine female and it's really hard for you to be empathetic. So today we're going to kind of talk about all of those things, and I'm going to share with you how I went through some of these things and still struggling to this day of how to get into my feminine. But again, I think in society, it's really reversed a lot of times the way that I see it. A lot of females struggle with standing up and speaking up and talking about hard things and avoiding the tough stuff. So I want to share some of my stories with you guys and hopefully invoke some of that masculine energy and share with you how I have evolved into a more balanced human being. So let's get started. All right, just for fun facts here. Did you guys know that almost equal of women in the United States today are the breadwinners in their household? 50%. Now, if you guys think back to, I'm 34, so if you think back to your grandparents or your great-grandparents, like that wasn't that long ago. That really, the 50s, the 60s, right? Growing up in that era, that really was not that long ago, where the entire role of the woman has changed. It has evolved. It's become more empowered. And now statistically in the United States, 50% of women are the breadwinners and the head of households within their home. I feel like today more and more women are embracing that, are embracing becoming the masculine woman. But like sometimes I wonder and I see people and I'm like, okay, is she taking this a little too far? Like in my beliefs, I grew up in very traditional home. Like my dad didn't allow my stepmom to work, or didn't, not allow is not the right word, but he was like expected to provide and expected to do these things. And my stepmom stayed at home with us and the kids and did, you know, and was a stay-at-home mom. And so that was like very common. Everybody could probably relate to having a parent or a grandparent, and they followed this same tradition. But now more and more women are embracing becoming this masculine figure, masculine role. Whereas some women, they're having a hard time like invoking that masculine energy within them to either step up and go to the next level with their job, pursue their career, pursue their dreams, because they have all of these things like motherhood and home responsibilities and raising children, that they feel restricted, that they can't go and fulfill their dreams or do the things that they wanted because of this masculine energy not present within their life. They've always been feminine and they're unable to articulate their feelings because they don't have enough courage or they don't have the voice to speak up for whatever it is that they stand for or they believe in. There's so many women that I know that are out there that are holding down the forts in their house, whether they're a single mom or they're married. I know a lot of women that are holding down the fort in their homes today. They're also, what I feel, playing the mom and dad role more and more often today than they were in the past. So for me, like, I'm a single mom, and you guys, like, on some real stuff, your girl is out here juggling balls, okay? So whether that's fixing the tire on the flat of the e-bike or on his BMX bike or fixing something around the house and then turning around and baking cookies and cooking dinner for everybody, that's what I do. That's what I know I'm juggling every single day of my life. And I know I'm not alone. I know I'm not alone. More and more, I've been getting out there talking to other moms and just being completely raw about my stresses and like, who was gonna tell me that raising a teenager required a fucking manual? Like, who was gonna tell Desiree? Like, you guys, when I had my son, I was like, I'm gonna be the perfect mom. I'm gonna read these books. I'm gonna do this right. I'm gonna read about psychology. I'm gonna figure out how to be the best mom that I could possibly be. But honey, the teenage years, y'all not ready for this. And if you have a teenager out there, you know and you can relate to where I'm standing right now. But this job is hard. Like, forget being the mom that cooks dinner every night. Forget being the perfect mom that makes her son lunch and doing all of this. This shit is hard, okay? Being a parent is tough. And I'll say, my son was relatively easier when he was younger. Now that we've gotten into the teenage years, ladies, I need you guys to stand up to the plate and put some boundaries in place, okay? Because if we don't stick together and make sure that these kids are in line, we're gonna have a crazy ass generation, okay? That's all I gotta say. We gotta have a crazy ass generation. So for all my moms are out there that are scared to discipline your children because you're afraid that they're gonna hate you, no, we're not doing that. They're going to hate us momentarily, you guys. Like, it sucks. I feel it. My son's, when I tell him something and he doesn't like it or it wasn't the outcome that he wanted, like, it's stressful. I'm like, he hates me. Oh my God, I'm a terrible mom. Oh my God. And then I snap my fingers and I'm like, you know what? My son, when he gets older, is going to be like, my mom did not mess around. My mom did not play no games, okay? I need my child to know that his mom had his back, bread and butter, baby. That's what I need my kid to know. So for those moms out there struggling and are scared to discipline your kids or scared to follow through, babe, they need us. It's amazing actually how children, they will gravitate towards discipline. They gravitate towards structure. They gravitate towards our time. And I think like with social media and all the phones and everything today, we have a really hard time like, oh, I'll just ignore it, sweep it under the rug. But no, you guys, we cannot do that. If your child requires discipline, I'm going to need you guys to be strong ladies out there and enforce these things. I promise you, you'll thank me later and we'll have this conversation in the future. Like, yes, you know what? I'm glad I stuck to my guns. I'm glad I became a little bit harder on my kid, right? Because they do need it. They need discipline and they look for it because it's their reasoning for us caring for them. And if you just let your child gallivant and do whatever they want because you're afraid that they're not going to like you or whatever, as long as you hug that child every day, once a day, and say, I love you, eventually they'll know that there was a reason for the things that we did, okay? Every time I tell my kid, and I swear to God, if you ask my kid and say, hey, what does your mom say? Why does she say things? And that boy's going to tell you, my mom says things for a reason. Yes, every single time. I've literally ingrained that in my son's head. Son, this is why I say this. This is why I do these things. because there is a what, a reason. So although I'm very strict on my son, I'm very hard on him. We just had to have a conversation last week where I was like, baby, you're my number one priority. I love you and I do everything for you, but I will not tolerate X, Y, and Z. Okay? I love you, but I will not tolerate X, Y, and Z. And believe me, if you knew my kid and knew me, my son gets everything he wants. He has so much flexibility. He has so much because I've given him the leash, right? I've let the leash go a little bit. And then when he messes up, we got to pull the leash back in, and then he starts doing well and let the leash go. And if he fucks up again, I'm pulling the leash in. It's a constant pull of back and forth and back and forth. All right. So what does this have to do with masculinity, right? I am a disciplinarian because my dad taught me to be a disciplinarian, right? But I also struggle or have struggled over the years understanding my son's feelings, okay? And sometimes I have to remind myself, Des, he's just a kid. Understand where he's coming from. Hear him out. Listen to the things that he has to say. And I recently discovered from my son, I said, how can I be a better mom for you? And I encourage you to ask your kids this once in a while. Hey, is there anything that I do that you dislike? Anything that I can change as your mom, as your parent, to make our relationship better? And see what they say. Just shut the fuck up and see what they say. And you'll be surprised some of the things that your kids will say to you, okay? I mean, they keep it real. If you ask genuinely these questions, they will keep it real with you. And some of it is hurtful. Some of us avoid doing things like that because we don't want to hear our toxic shit from our own kids, okay? Because we're all doing our best, but that doesn't mean we're all perfect in what we do, right? So I encourage you guys, literally ask your kids that. Come back to this video and comment in the comments section and tell me what outrageous things that your kids said. Because my son was like, Mom, he really said this, you guys. He was like, you're really hard on me. And I feel like it's always something. And and this and that. And I was like, damn, all right. It's time. I need to get into my feminine. I need to remove myself from this disciplinary masculine energy that I'm carrying into this. And I need to understand my son and his feelings. He is a very sensitive human being, okay? I'm sensitive sometimes, but he's very sensitive. And I had to say, you know what, son? You're right. Maybe I could be X, Y, and Z. Maybe I can do this. If I work on this, will you promise me that you're going to work on X, Y, and Z? Cleaning your room, picking up easy stuff, you guys. But, okay, I put the guard down and I said, if I can do this, can you do that? And can we meet in the middle here? And it was great. We hugged it out and it was everything. But the point that I'm trying to make is if I didn't step out of this masculine energy, right, and get into my more feminine understanding, feelings, all of these things, I risk losing that relationship with my child. So in certain circumstances, it's really freaking hard to learn how to turn off and turn on the switch depending the circumstances. That's in relationships and all of the things. It's a little bit harder to do when you're a parent because your child goes through all of these changes and all of these evolutions, and you have to understand where they are and know when to be hard and when to be soft and all of these different things. That it's really hard. That's why they say parenting teaches you so much about yourself, because you have to step outside of the box of what you normally are, step out of the box of the things that you traditionally have done in the past, or maybe your parents did to you that you don't like. You might catch yourself doing the same toxic shit that your parents did to you. And you have to be so self-aware of these things that's what makes parenting so hard. Knowing when to do the right thing at the right time, okay? There's no manual for this shit, you guys. I promise you. And my favorite thing that I love I don't know who told me this in the past, but they were like, Des, one of the biggest things about parenting that you have to know is you have to meet the crime with the appropriate punishment. Because we're always correcting our kids. We're always correcting. It takes so much patience and over and over and over and over and over. That knowing when to punish at the right level of the crime is actually one of the most important things, because our kids can mess up and everything. And if we blow everything out of the proportion, if we blow everything up all the time, they're not going to know when or what has different consequences to them and to the severity of that if we're constantly at this level for every little thing that they may do wrong. So it requires this balance of this thing which no one knows of. And we have to support each other more. And we need to talk about this more, because when I tell you, I walked into my son's tutoring the other day and this lady was like breaking down in front of the learning center to the director. You know what? I felt her. And I was like, girl, I'm right there with you. I was literally in her office last week breaking down crying, saying this is so hard and da 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 da. But like, it was crazy because the director sat down in the office with me and my son together, and we talked and we had a whole thing. And it takes a village, you guys. And we need, as moms especially, to lean more into each other and take advice, because some of y'all out there, y'all act like there's one way and one street, and you're not open to hearing shit or saying things about your kid that are just flat out like fucked up, okay? Your kid's gonna fuck up. Our kids are gonna fuck up. They're not perfect. So like, get this, my kid is perfect, all of these things out of your head, because it's not true. All kids can be assholes. And like, we have to talk about these things. Like, we need to make sure that we're supporting each other, because I've heard the craziest stuff from moms about what kids will do. And sometimes I just don't know, you know? Some days I'm flabbergasted. I'll tell you guys a story. Last week, my kid was in his classroom. His teacher made a comment to him. Oh, yeah, when I was in school, I used to get hit with a paddle. Do you know what my child said to that teacher? Oh, I can relate. My dad spanked me when I was 6 years old with a belt, which I don't know. I cannot contest to even seeing anything like this. His dad is very passive and not aggressive human being, okay? But this boy said this, and I said, what? In your brain, would you do that? Would you say that? And guess what happened? I get a phone call from Walnut Creek PD about, we need to make sure that your son is safe and all of this crazy stuff. Yes, we live in a crazy world, okay? But it's shit like that that will just take you. You're already having a bad day, and you get the phone call, you get the email, you get the stuff. I get it. It's frustrating. I am right there with you. But the way in which we choose to respond, ladies, is the most delicate art and craft that one could evolve. And I will say that. But it does require you to understand when it's appropriate to be in your masculine and when it's appropriate to be in your feminine. Because in that scenario, I thought in my head, you know what? There's a lesson here. Like, what is the lesson that I'm trying to teach my child? What is the opportunity I have to teach this little human being based off the mistake that they made? And thinking logical, like us women, we're very emotional about things. I can be very emotional about things, but I'm also very logical because I was raised by a man. I truly believe that, okay? But I said there's a lesson here. The narrative of our story that we're talking about right now with my son, my 13-year-old son, is read the room and know when to say the appropriate thing at the appropriate time, okay? Our kids cuss. We know this. It's inevitable that these children are out here cursing in the streets. Matter of fact, I've checked a few kids out there that think they're too slick, okay, cursing around their friends. And I walk up and I say, where is your mom at? Do you think that she would mind you saying that coming out your mouth? And you know what? I hope the mom is not mad at me, because you know what? I would not be mad if another woman came up to my boy and his group of friends and said, if your mom was here right now, do you think she'd appreciate you talking like that? No. All right then. And then just walk on away, because you know what? It takes a village. Like that term, it takes a village to raise kids, is absolutely true. If I say something to my kid, the chances of him listening to me are slim to none. Okay, well, he might listen, but they're slim because they're kids, right? They don't listen to their parents. But the moment that Coach Rick over there says the exact same thing to this child and he listens, that is what is crazy to me. So it takes a village. It might not take you saying the same thing 100 times, but it may take Coach Randy over here one time to get whatever it is through our kids' heads. So it takes a village to raise kids, you guys. All right, so let's talk about balancing the masculine and feminine energy. This is a real thing. It has actually been a crutch in a lot of my past relationships that I realize, Desiree, you're so independent. You can do all things. I can do drywall better than most men out there. My dad used to tell me when I was younger, never marry any man that can do drywall better than you. Because my dad used to teach me how to, in reality, this guy used to do all these home projects and never finish them. And so my sister and I would get in there and start doing things to try to fix it, paint, whatever. But he did have a lot of home projects, and he taught my sister and I how to nail things together, use the saw, do drywall, fix the windows, do all the stuff around that. So literally, I can do all of that. This backdrop behind me, all me. Did that, hung it, all of it, hung the blinds, all of that, okay? But it is hard for women like that because in the past, I've been stuck in this survival mode. There was this survival mode that I wanted to get things done. And I just did it myself because I was always all about myself. But ladies, we have to learn to allow our men to, for those in our relationship, on the masculine side of things, we have to learn how to let our men take control. It is really hard because when you've been doing everything by yourself for so long, it's challenging to let go of the reins. But I can tell you now that even if you fake it, my grandma used to tell me all the time, your grandpa tells me stuff all the time and he thinks that I don't know. And I act like it's a brand new thing that he's teaching me. And his face just lights up. And even though she's faking it to make it, she's making her husband happy because she has been I already know that. Oh, I did this. They've gone on and on about, I can do that. When sometimes you just need to keep it to yourself. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you just need to keep it to yourself. So on the masculine side. On the feminine side of things, I encourage you, some of you women out there that don't know how to change a tire, don't know how to do drywall, don't know how to do some of these things around the house. I'm telling you, it's not easy, but it's not hard. We can do these things. We can hit nails, we can hang things. There's YouTube University. There's so many things out there that I've learned how to do. Change my son's tire, put Fix-A-Flat in there, change the crown molding on this stuff, change the flooring, get stuff out of the wall, drywall and plaster, all of this stuff that a man is supposed to do. I can do all of it. Build a freaking bed. I've done that before. There are so many tutorials, so many things out there. And so if you are a woman that doesn't know how to do these things, I encourage you, look it up, practice, because these are skills that could carry you. You never know what could happen. If you are in a relationship, I don't wish this on anybody, but you could be alone at one point. You could be alone and not have a man, or maybe you are alone and you don't have a man and you're spending hundreds of dollars doing some of these things that you quite frankly could just do yourself. I encourage you to look into those things and become more into your masculine role and say, yeah, bitch, I can fucking hang this. I can do this drywall. Nothing anybody else can tell me I can do this. I don't need a man to do this for me. Some of you guys need a little bit more of that encouragement in you, okay? I know there are some women out there that'll be like, I can do this, but there's some women that can't. And I encourage you guys to try it out. All right, so that's my rant. You have to balance these things, okay? We have to balance and learn how to do that. I went through a ton of therapy to learn how to be more vulnerable and be more in my feminine and do all of these things, because I recognized that it was really affecting my life, really affecting my relationships. I'm a very strong human being. I say what's on my mind, and I don't hold back with things that I feel like are authentic to myself. If I have something to say, I'm going to say it. It might not always come out the right way, but at the end of the day, I'm going to get it off my chest. And if someone doesn't like it, then they're not meant to be in my life. I think there is a balance to genuinely sharing your feelings and genuinely being authentic with those things. But then there's also saying your piece and meaning what you say and saying it from your heart and not being afraid for someone to be mad about something that you said that they disagree about. That's one thing about being in my masculine that I wouldn't want anybody to take away from me. I would rather be this way over any scared, any person. I would rather be this way over anything. I embrace the fact that I can speak my mind. Embrace the fact that I can have difficult conversations. I embrace the fact that I don't like to take bullshit from people. And I think a lot of people that know me can feel that energy. And whether they like me or not, for them, it doesn't matter, you guys. Like, it really doesn't. I think as women, we need to be fucking nicer for sure, because women are catty and women have alternative motives, and it's kind of gross in the world that we're living in. But I will tell you, being in your masculine sometimes is the most empowering thing. Learning how to say what you mean and do what you mean and do what you say and be that person that you are is actually such a beautiful thing. And it takes practice. I know for some women, it takes a lot of practice to speak their mind and be confident and all of these things. But you also have to practice. Like, stand in the mirror and talk to yourself, okay? Sometimes we got to look in the mirror and just look ourselves in the eye and say what it is that we're trying to say. Hear your voice. See yourself talking. It takes practice sometimes to be able to articulate your feelings. If you're not someone who's good at sharing your feelings, which I haven't over the years, I didn't want to tell anybody. I was very guarded. I don't want to tell anybody this is how I'm really feeling or this and that. And I would hide a lot of those things. But now I'm like, you know what? I feel this way and I don't like it, or I do like it. And I genuinely appreciate X, Y, and Z. And it's easier to be authentic and also have gratitude in your relationships and the people and the village that you have. So I will say that and leave it there. All right, so let's talk about some things that we can do collectively as a female tribe, okay, with embracing femininity without losing our strength. That was kind of like what we were just talking about before, is being able to embrace that you are a beautiful, strong, smart, capable woman, and that nobody compares to you. You are your own woman. You have your own stories and your own flaws and your own unique beautifulness, that you can embrace that femininity, but also have this strong, like, get it done kind of girl, and nobody is going to mess with that. Nobody's going to mess with your beautiful aura. No one's going to allow their nasty life or their dark cloud that follows them to encroach on your space and on your aura and on your energy. So embracing that feminine power, but still having strength to stand in front of the boardroom in front of a whole group of men, okay, which I've done before, okay, and be able to move a room with your intelligence, with your beauty, with your poise. This is a real form of art for women, especially in the workforce. I mean, I've worked in a male-dominated industry my entire career. Wealth management is predominantly Caucasian males. Okay, that's just the way it's been. I've been with the top firms in the United States, from Wells Fargo to Morgan Stanley, and it is challenging. You have to fight for your place there. And I understand now why there is the bitchy corporate woman. And I don't blame that woman. If you're that woman, I don't blame you. I mean, in our hearts, I'm not calling you a bitchy woman, okay? But what I am saying, the woman that is a little cold, and the woman that takes no shit and kind of has a little chip on her shoulder, or, you know, she's kind of rude, but she gets stuff. She's a hustler, you know? I don't blame that woman, because that woman has probably seen so many things in the workforce that she has had to fight for, that she has had to scrape and crawl to get where she needs to get to be taken seriously, to get that raise, to get that position that she never thought she was going to get, to run that business on her own. She probably had to go through so many things behind the scenes that we didn't see. And as a result of all of these things, it has kind of hardened her heart. And I've been there a few times. I've been there where it's like, man, these people are judging me because I'm not like them. I have to work harder. I'm a woman. I'm young. I'm a minority. All of these things that are working against me. You have to work harder, because people in those settings, they don't care, and they're mean. And if you don't know how to handle those people in a gentle way, but a strong way, it could be challenging for you to come to work every single day and get things approved and do all of these things. So there's a fine balance between taking authority in a room from a female standpoint and still being able to have people like you. It's a finesse. It's something that you have to learn. There's things that we can do to create more mindfulness around being a softer woman, listening more, being more intent with getting feedback from people. That's a great example. I don't know if you've ever asked anybody, hey, can I get some feedback? Or, hey, I've related to this before and this is how I've handled things. And going through those processes of like, hey, you're just like I am. We've struggled the same things. We've seen very similar things, but in different lights. And this is how I've handled with this. Or, hey, how do you feel I'm doing? How can I be better? How can I The respect from people, maybe in your job or even in your home or even maybe with your kid. So another thing is a mindset shift, right? So for very independent women, there's always this mindset of, I have to get everything done. I have to do it all. And there's this huge weight on your shoulder. Well, it takes practice to say, hey, I can't do it all. I have to say no. I have to put this down because I'm taking care of all of these different things. I'm taking care of my kid, making sure that they have their stuff. Maybe they have sports after school. Okay, then we got to get dinner. Then we got to make sure the laundry's done. Oh, I got to flip the laundry before I go pick up so-and-so from school so it's dry in time so that before I do this. And it's just a spinning wheel of shit to do. And sometimes you just got to be like, bro, I can't do this. Like, I need to just handle what's in front of me. I need to be where my feet are sometimes. And we can't always do it all. I have to remind myself of this all the time. You know what? Fuck it. This isn't getting done today. You know, I had all of this, I had this fire to put out, and unfortunately, it's not getting done. And that's okay. That's okay. And maybe it's not getting done, and I'll go to training. I'll go train for 2 hours and whatever it is I need to get done because I was so packed with things to do that I was like, you know what? That's going to have to wait tomorrow. I'm going to the gym. I'm going to go decompress and I'm going to go get my mind off of things and I'm going to go get stronger and I'm going to go work on the things that I want to work at because I know that X brings me joy. In my case, it's Muay Thai. I could go to the gym and leave my phone and not look at it for 2 hours. Literally. I have an Apple Watch, of course, because if my child needs to reach me, I'm doing that. But for the most part, go and do something that is fulfilling for you, is exciting for you. If you're into some kind of hobby, go do those things, disconnect. You do not have to do it all. Coming from someone that feels like they always have to get things done. I always have something on the to-do list. I have always a task that needs to be completed. We can't do it all, and we need to give ourselves grace. If you're the woman out there that has a hard time struggling with giving yourself grace, know it can get done tomorrow. Do the priority things in the day that you need to, and then you know what? It can wait. As long as we are moving inch by inch closer to achieving all of the things that we need to do on our list, we're gravy, baby. That's it. All right, clearly this type of training is very different from what I do in the gym, right? I'm training to be tough and I'm training to punch and I'm training to hurt and I'm training to create pain. But training yourself to create softness or training yourself to be more masculine, whichever one that you fall on, whichever table it is that you're on, it takes training on both sides of the table to acknowledge and be aware and work on those different angles that you have for yourself. It's just like fighting. And I relate everything to fighting, but it's just like fighting. You don't become great overnight. It takes years of practice, which I know for myself, I've been taking years of practice to get more into my feminine and feel that softness that, we all have this balance. Women are beautiful creatures. We have the ability to run households. We have the ability to bear children. We have the ability to be sexy. We have the ability to be sporty. There's so many different avenues that we can take as women, but it takes training and it doesn't just happen overnight. You have to know that. All right, we are going to wrap this up. We are going to continue to work on being more masculine and feminine at the same time, and understanding and acknowledging that there is an appropriate time to be one or the other. I know you have it in there. For the women that are very feminine and have struggles with getting into your masculine, do something cool like Muay Thai. Go punch a bag. Go do something manly that makes you feel like, oh my God, it just wakes you up. Like, I took care of this with nobody and I didn't need anything and I got that shit done. You know what I'm talking about. Go do that and find some balance within that femininity of yours and that masculine energy that is inside of you. We all have it inside of us. And for all of my masculine women out there, take a second. Take a second, okay, honey? Take a second. Just like I gotta take a second sometimes. I mean, the other day I wanted to go full warrior mode on somebody, okay? And it took a lot for me to take a step back and said, you know what? I'm better than this. I don't need that. I don't need this. I have everything that I need. No, you have everything you need. You don't have to do it all. And you know what? If some people don't like you, that's okay. But that doesn't mean that we can't be understanding. That doesn't mean that we can't see in a different perspective. It doesn't mean we can't have empathy and be soft in our feminine when understanding other people. So let's just take a second for my masculine woman. Take a step back and understand you don't have to do it all. Take a step back and say, hey, could I have handled this? Maybe you have a situation with your child recently where you could have said, you know what? Maybe I could have been a little softer on that. Maybe I could have been a little bit more understanding. Maybe it's something with your boyfriend or your husband where you could have been like, you know what? I didn't have to impede myself on that. I didn't have to impose my ideas. I didn't have to interject with unnecessary things and take control of the conversation or whatever it is. Take a second to think about that and see how we can actually do better next time, because we're all going to make mistakes, but at the same time, we always are going to have another opportunity to try again. Another opportunity is going to come that we're going to be able to work on these skills together. So know that. All right, so I do have some important news. You guys might have seen on my story just recently, I opened the door to 5 women that I will be choosing this week for a mini fight camp series. So 5 women that I'm doing a test study on that want to lose belly fat, they want to build confidence, they want to be stronger, and they want to get healthier. It's going to be a case study that I'm going to be doing for 45 days where I give these women access to my nutritionist, my hypnotherapist, workout routines, strength and conditioning so that they become a better version of themselves. We will be launching a full fight camp series in December, tailored to women that want to build confidence, become a stronger version of themselves, and have a more resilient mindset. After this 45 days, I want to see how far we can bring women from their physical, mental, and nutritional levels from when they first started working with me to where they are after a 6-week period with working with my team. It's going to be an amazing case study. I'm going to learn a lot about, what it takes to transform someone's life. And I'm going to give access to my people, my team of professionals that I have built over a 9-year period. Take out the guessing work. What should I do for mindset? What should I do for nutrition? How do I lose weight? I will completely remove all of these worries and these things that these women may have in their life to make them better as human beings. I'm going to take them through this 6-week fight camp course, and it is going to be absolutely life-changing. In December, we will be launching the full program, the full 12-week fight camp, where I take you through a fight camp simulation from your mindset to your nutrition to your strength and your conditioning. I'm going to take you through and change your life. I've been working on it for a while now. Muay Thai has transformed my life over the last 9 years. I can't even begin to tell you guys how my mental fortitude, my physical fortitude, everything has changed and evolved over the last 8 years. And I want to duplicate that for people in a short period so that they can live the life that they want to live and they truly desire in the future to come. You will become stronger. You will become more resilient. You'll be able to get up with confidence in the morning, not doubt yourself, not question the decisions that you make about your household and your family, what that next boss's meeting is going to look like. How are you going to lead your team? I want women to feel as confident as I do when they're anywhere in the world dealing with any kind of situation or circumstance. This program is going to be absolutely amazing. You guys stay tuned and wait, but I cannot wait to show some testimonials to you. We're going to take all the guesstimation away through this program. All of the years I've had to figure out things that were so hard. What foods were right for me? What protein should I be taking? How much protein should I be taking? When should I be doing my meditating? Do I even know how to do meditating? All of these things that were a part of my journey that I have done hours and hours of research on, hours of relationship building. I'm going to give that to my people. I'm not going to be the gatekeeper anymore. I'm going to show my people how to perform like a professional athlete, whether they're an athlete, whether they're a mom, whether they're a businesswoman, a entrepreneur, all of these things that took years figuring it out, taking the wrong road, taking the wrong supplements, unnecessarily spending money on things that are not gonna help my body and my style. I want to help women figure that out and take the guessing work out of things through my experiences and years as a combat sports athlete. So just remember, bitch, you have the inner strength. We just need to learn how to pull it out of you. Whether that's being more masculine or whether that's being more feminine. Both are super powerful, empowering. We just got to learn how to balance the two. You literally can be the fighter and the nurturer and the mom and the business owner and all of the things that you have in your brain about yourself. Those are the things that you can be, and it doesn't have to be one lane. I have so many situations where people have told me, oh, you have too much going on, you have too much this. No, I can be whatever I want to be when I want to be it. I can be the great mom. I can be the entrepreneur that runs 2 businesses. I can be the successful fighter that I want to be. I can live out my dreams and defy the odds that I have for myself and my circumstances at any point in time in my life. And I want you to have the exact same confidence in the things that you do. All right, I think that's a wrap.